Hare Krishna. So welcome all the devotees, and we particularly welcome His Grace Premanand Prabhu. I would request all the devotees to turn on their videos. And so we have a special guest today, His Grace Premanand Prabhu. He's a very experienced teacher, trainer, and senior devotee. So Prabhuji joined Krishna consciousness and came in touch with the devotees 2006, while he was studying in NCIT College, which is a very prestigious college in India. And this college is in Delhi. And because of his sincere practice, Prabhuji was initiated in 2008 while he was studying in college by His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. And 2009, Prabhuji decided to join the full-time Brahmachari ashram. And thereafter, Prabhuji preached in many important projects like IIT Roorkee, NSIT, MAIT College, NIT Allahabad, and Temple Alive, which is part of his conduit forum. Thereafter, Prabhuji served in book distribution as a new Bhakta trainer, communication officer, and he started a Vani group which is responsible for spreading Krishna consciousness in social groups. So Prabhuji was training that group also. And in the past 6 and 7 years, Prabhuji is a founding member and the key member in creating international value education or Olympiad, which is organized in 20 countries. And every year, Prabhuji is responsible for distributing 5 lakh Bhagavad Gitas to school students across 20 countries. And this project is very successful and was done under the flagship of United Nations. And Prabhuji is also involved in one green project with United Nations in collaboration with education and this environmental minister in India. So we welcome Prabhuji for his kind presence today. And Prabhuji, we have the audience, diverse audience here from Punjabi Bagh, Rohini, Ludhiana, Gurgaon, Gangtok, South India, and one devotee we have from Australia also. Hare Krishna. So Prabhuji will be leading us from the second chapter today. So we request everyone to turn on the videos and pay proper attention. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone. Let us begin with a small invocation prayer. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadhamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapad Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapte Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu vacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Nama om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. It's my absolute pleasure and delight to be here for all of your association, and thank you very much, His Grace Rasal Prabhu, for your kind words. And I would also like to pay my obeisances and my respects to all the teachers from whom I have learned Bhagavad Gita. I realized that His Grace Vanshivardhan Prabhu, His Grace Kamalochan Prabhu, His Grace Gaurang Darshan Prabhu are also the teachers of this course. They had been my teachers as well. I studied my Bhakti śāstrī from them. And I would like to pay my respects to all those teachers also. So yes, this is the first time when I'm joining in a course in a midway. So I understand that second chapter till 37 verses they have been completed, right? So We'll start from there, but before we start, let us establish certain context and certain classroom norms in order to make the best use of our time in coming days. So I have one request, and I'll be repeating this request based upon my experience time and again. I invite devotees to switch on their cameras, at least for some time. At least let me see who all are there in this batch. And it is always very personal to have the faces, and otherwise everyone can close the camera and no one knows what was, whatever is going on. Okay, so few guidelines. Just hold on. So let us set an intention why we are here. So before I proceed, I want to know from all of you why you have joined your Bhakti śāstrī course. What are your desires and what are your expectations? What are you looking from this course, specifically your reading of Bhagavad Gita? What is it that you wish to achieve or obtain, or what is your goal? What is your motives? So if you can write down quickly in the chat section, or if you can raise your hand and I can say your name and you can share with the class. You can reflect, think for a few seconds, and then you can respond. Your intention of taking up the Bhakti śāstrī course. Out of all the things that you could be doing in your life, you chose to spend considerable amount of your time and energy. Okay. Yes, Jadved Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. My main reason I've actually, this is my second attempt. I successfully failed to draw up the motivation to continue on an online Bhakti śāstrī course that was a self-paced study mode by Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. I finished the first book, which was Nectar of Instruction, but then that took like 3 months. And then I saw this new mode that came out during COVID through Zoom classes. So all the people who started after me, they finished way before I could ever dream of. So that was one of my biggest reasons to join an interactive course. Now, the second big reason, which is the prime reason, is its instruction from my Gurudev. And I also, I always was drawn to the books. I always like to study systematically. So it's for my own understanding, so I can present this philosophy in a nicer way to the people I preach to.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. Yes, the courses do help in pushing us forward, especially when there are deadlines. Yeah. Okay. So, Divya Leela Keshri Mataji, to please Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj and to know the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita, what exactly Krishna wants to teach us and try to. Okay. Kanchan Van Gaurangi Mataji, to improve my study of Srila Prabhupada books so that I can apply them in my life, understand the philosophy properly, right context. Okay, wonderful. Yes, Vivek Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam to everyone. So my main motive of joining this course is that in my life I have several times tried to read Bhagavad Gita and get the knowledge, but it always happened that the reading stopped in between. So I thought from this course, by the grace of all the devotees, I'll be able to get all the knowledge from the Bhagavad Gita in one go. So thank you.
Okay, interesting. Oh, Anandita Janma Mataji, you are doing 2 Bhakti śāstrīs.
Yes, Hare Krishna, Pranam Prabhuji. I asked Rasal Prabhu, he said that will you be giving exams again? And it's fine with me if you give me the double Bhakti śāstrī degrees. Then. Anyways,
Okay.
Prabhuji, actually, this was, they have told me, but I have already joined Hindi batch. And coincidentally, when this course was starting on Monday or Tuesday, all of a sudden I thought of joining this course as well. So this was the first course, first day class. And the main motive is to please my Guru Maharaj, because he insistently saying us, all of us, to do all the Bhakti Shastra course. And this, and also I just want to imbibe Prabhupada's and Acharya's teachings in my life and understand it, and then apply it, and then preach it. This is the main purpose.
Okay, so I get a general sense of idea that all of you are so wonderful disciples. You all want to please your spiritual master, Guru and Krishna. Okay, any other reason apart from this? All all of you are fully qualified bhaktas to understand Bhakti Shastri. Your motives are very pure. Anything else? Yes, Mandleshwar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandat Pranam. Prabhu, just I am taking the task for youth class here in Adilabad. Just they have so many queries, so that I joined this Bhakti Shastra, I could preach them and guide them during that. That's
You mentioned you were taking class in Allahabad. What's your legal name, Prabhu?
my name is Mithun Bhaskar Var. I am from Telangana, Adilabad. It is near Hyderabad.
Oh, okay. Welcome, Prabhu. Welcome. Yeah. Okay, anyone else? Daya, Navit Bhakti Mataji. To become more serious, and Vivek Prabhu, understand Krishna's teaching, so in future I can preach and want to be part of Prabhupada's mission. Okay, thank you for mentioning, sharing all of your intentions. Aradhe Gadadhar Prabhu, to understand the mood of Prabhupada. Yeah, okay. So, what is the transformation that Arjuna had after listening to Bhagavad Gita? What is Krishna promises one gets out of studying Bhagavad Gita? Okay, these are your expectations. So now then Krishna is promising certain things in Bhagavad Gita. If you do this, you will get this. So let us see if it matches our expectations, right? So what is the result of studying Bhagavad Gita? Do you see any difference in Arjuna of chapter 1 versus Arjuna of chapter 18? And I see Dhyan Navit from Bhakti Mata. You were also there, I think, in Hindi Bhakti Shastri, right? No, you were not there? Okay.
No, Prabhuji, I was in the shloka class, which you did,
Oh, yeah.
which is ongoing on the at 7 o'clock, no?
Yeah, sorry. So yes, it is very important to set an intention for joining any class. It always helps us to anchor our learning. And Srila Prabhupada says Bhagavad Gita is ultimately meant to imbibe the love of God, to love of Krishna. So all the Bhakti Shastras are ultimately meant to bring out our love and cultivate and nurture our love for Krishna. They are meant to revive our relationship with Krishna. And of course, there are, if you have studied your Bhakti Shastri manual, there are many aims and objectives mentioned in the beginning of the book. There are 12 aims and objectives listed in those Bhakti Shastri manual. And I encourage all of you to please go through them. They are very helpful. And all of our lesson plans are designed according to those aims and objectives as well. Now a few things before we actually delve into the subject matters. Few classroom norms. To be precisely, I wrote 6 And among that, first and foremost, I want all of you to agree to these norms. Only then we can proceed. The first and foremost norm is of respect. What does that mean? So respectful and inclusive communication. One of the way the respect is translated into behavior is don't interrupt when someone else is speaking, right? Don't cut someone else's point. Let the other devotee complete the point. Even if you agree, even if you don't agree, have the patience to hear that point completely and then speak. That's one of the practical application. Now, second is the active participation. I encourage all of you to please participate actively. What does that mean? It means when the class is going on, if possible, leave other tasks, be present for the whole class. Not present just physically, but emotionally, but mentally as well, intellectually. Be there in the class. Third, cameras. I know how uncomfortable it is to switch on the camera and how comfortable it is to switch off and relax and hear nicely. I have been student in many of the courses. I know that urge, and still I've realized whenever we switch on the camera, we are out of our comfort zone, right? Even when you are driving, even when if you are doing some other things, I encourage you, let us have that culture where we can keep our camera on until and unless there is very emergency and your camera is not working and you cannot switch it on. That's another thing. However possible, I invite you, please have the cameras on. If not 100% of the time, at least 75% time of the class. That's my humble invitation, encouragement, suggestion, and a request. Another thing, keep yourself muted. When you have to say something, you can raise your hand. I'll invite you. You can unmute yourself and then you can share. Otherwise, a lot of noises keeps on coming from the background. That's another thing. And yes, there are many features of the Zoom. There are many features of the online functions. Use them, engage with them. There's a chat section. So if you have any questions, please write down in the chat section. If you have any points, any suggestion, do write down. We'll be actively using those chat sections. We'll be actively using many features. So yes, these were some of the points. Let us all, if you think we can agree to them, then we can proceed further. Now, one more thing. There will be many questions that will be coming, which will be relating to the further chapters in Bhagavad Gita. And there might be many questions that may arise when you are reading Bhagavad Gita on your own, which may not get covered during the class or during the certain lessons. So what I'll do, I'll share an online document with all of you. It would be a normal Google document. So if you have any question from the content that from the chapters that we are going through, please write down in that document. Even when if you are studying by yourself, we will take those up in the class, right? So whatever questions you have that arises, if you think certain points needs more clarification, certain points saying you have certain questions related to any text related to Bhagavad Gita, just write down in those. Just jot that down in the document, and we'll be regularly consulting that document in each class. Now, certain things, what you are expected to do, or we are expected to do, to make the most out of this course. At least, especially, I'm talking about the classes till the time that I'm facilitating. And the first and foremost, I mentioned, just be present, not just physically, but intellectually, emotionally, mentally as well. Second, and which is very important thing, is Swadhyay. Swadhyay means swa, by yourself, adhyan, do that adhyan. Read and study. If you are coming into the class and if you have not read that the purpose already, or if you're just attending the class and not reading by yourself, you will not be able to make the full use of you will not be utilizing the full power of those Bhakti Shastris. It is of utmost importance. It doesn't matter who is the teacher, it doesn't matter how qualified, how most qualified, less qualified, whatever it is. It is very important to have our personal space, our personal connection with Srila Prabhupada Bhaktivedanta purports. So spend some time on a regular basis reading these books. And even when you are attending the class, before coming to the class, if you can manage, read that chapter in advance and then come. The quality of discussions would go much deeper. The understanding level would be more, and there would be, when we take out that time and we invest that consciousness, then Krishna manifests in such a forum, right? If all of us are, each one of us are working towards studying and trying to understand and serve Krishna, then miracles happen, and then we all collectively make spiritual advancement. So it's very important, take out certain time. If you cannot spend 1 hour, take out 30 minutes. If you cannot take out 30 minutes, spend 15 minutes, but read on your own. Third, take notes. Don't underestimate the power of writing. The only thing I remember when I did my Bhakti Śāstrī course back in 2010 or 11, something like that, is the only, I remember whatever I have written down. Apart from that, I've forgotten everything. Whatever I have written down during those discussions, I realized, what I know that point already. What is the use in writing that, or what is the use in writing anything about it? But when I look back at this note, sometimes I get mesmerized. Oh my God, I wrote that point. These are my notes. I'm sure all of you had that experience as well. And I know note making is a separate seminar altogether. What are the different ways of taking notes? We can have that discussion any other time. But my crux of it, write it down. Whatever point touches your heart, write it down. Just make a note of it. If you can't write full point, just write in your own words. You don't have to just copy paste. You don't have to just write verbatim. Write in your own words. Engage with that. But do write. Make a note. Another thing very important about feedback. If you are facing challenge in any part of the course, don't wait for the unit to end to give the feedback, because then nothing can be done, right? If you are facing challenge anywhere, give feedback during that time only, and midway. Reach out to me, reach out to coordinators, but communicate. If you need such certain things to change, if certain things are not working out, or if I feel that certain things are not working out, I'll also reach out to the coordinator. I'll also reach out to you. So that is also crucial. To continue whatever is working out, and to regularly optimize and improvise if certain things are not working out. So just feel very comfortable in bringing those things up. There's no shame in that. Then there will be certain exercises, assignments, and homeworks that I'll be giving you. I know the Bhakti Śāstrī course is a very well-defined course. There are certain things which are assessed. Whatever homeworks I'll give, they may not carry the official marks in your final certificate and mark sheet. Yet I would be giving them from my side, and if you and I'll invite you to engage with those homeworks and assignments in order to enhance your own personal understanding. One of the regular homework in all the classes is to read. Whatever we are about to discuss, come after reading Srila Prabhupada's purpose in advance. Right? That's the consistent homework. You can write it down. It is automatically implied at the end of each class. Now there's a section of Purva Swadhyaya. Are you familiar with that? Which we in common language known as CBA. I know these days somehow, when I did Bhakti Shastri course, there were many things done in differently. And nowadays, I hear from students that they wait for the chapters to in order to attempt those questions, but that is Purva Swadhyaya. Purva means even before the chapter starts, you're supposed to attempt those questions, and those are included for a reason. So that's one of the way also to enhance our. Now we are committed to starting on time and completing on time. I know extending time after allocated time is the most torturous thing for any student and for any teacher. I won't go beyond time. Yet, if you have any questions, I mean, I will officially close the class on time. And still, if you have any discussions, any questions to make, you can stay back and we can have those discussions. But we'll end our class that I understand from 7:30 we'll begin and 9:30 will close. Right. Now, apart from this, couple of other points. You know, one of the format, and as I know this is, we are going in the online format, either offline or online. Certain things are very valuable and helpful, and specifically for Indian audiences. we all are habituated to sit in a lecture format and to hear from the teacher. The teacher is supposed to speak and the student is supposed to listen, and that's the way that has been done in most of our classes. But usually these courses and are designed in certain different ways. There will be other exercises, so pay close attention to what all your batchmates are sharing, the kind of questions they are asking, the kind of inputs they are giving, the kind of arguments they are bringing it up. We learn through each other, right? So don't just have just one way or two way to and fro. I mean, it's a complete structure. So and I can say from my own experience, one of the best ways to enhance our faith and to learn would be when you will be having discussion among your own self on the basis of Bhagavad Gita. Especially like if you already don't know each other, I encourage you to connect with each other. If you have a group, have a discussion, or reach out if you know any of the batchmates. Reach out to them, share your understanding, ask questions, whatever you are studying. This is one of the best ways to enhance our learning and to enhance our understanding. Srila Prabhupada writes in Bhagavad Gita, one of the best ways to develop detachment is through spiritual discussions in chapter 13. So have those discussions among your own friends. And now that is only possible when you read something or when either of the devotee reads something and they're sharing. And in introduction also, that's why Srila Prabhupada writes, why Vedic literatures are there, so that we can divert our attention and our consciousness towards Krishna and transcendental topics. Our mind is currently filled with I'm not generalizing it, but speaking from personal experience and many devotees who share, it's generally filled with the kind of content we scan through all our day, the kind of videos we watch on Facebook, Instagram, the kind of reels we watch, the kind of messages we read, and the kind of newspaper, news, and so many topics of conversation are there. But when we take up courses like this and engages our time in reading, it enhances our conversation. Now, that's it from my side. So the resources that I'll be using while having this course, of course, are all discussions will be from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is by His Divine Grace, His Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Response Founder Acharya. Now you must have received 2 handbooks, right? Handbook of Bhakti śāstrī, and there's another handbook which consists of Srila Prabhupada quotes. All of you have these 2 handbooks with you? You have received these handbooks, right? So both of these are very invaluable source of learning, specifically that Srila Prabhupada quotes handbook. Have you tried reading those quotes? Anyone? Have you read those quotes from chapter 1 and chapter 2 already? those quotes are very amazing compilation, and those are given for a certain reason, right? Srila Prabhupada brings out many interesting points, many practical applications of those sections. So please go through them. Ideally, hear Prabhupada's complete Bhagavad Gita classes. And those sections are taken from Srila Prabhupada's audio. If you can't hear, if you don't have time to hear complete classes, at least read those sections. Okay. Now, another invaluable resource is, just I mentioned, Srila Prabhupada lectures. All of you have Srila Prabhupada's audio, complete audio, folio. Do you have Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita classes with you? Yes
It's
or no?
available on Prabhupada Vani. I take it
Yes.
from there.
Yes, they're available online, Srila Prabhupada Vani. If you don't have, I also can share the link with you. You can download from there, complete audio, Srila Prabhupada's audio. But have them, save them in your mobiles, have them in an easy access, hear them, right? Come into the habit of, at least till the time you are studying Bhagavad Gita. It's a good practice. Every day, the morning when you get up, just switch on Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita classes. Till the time you get ready, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 1 hour, you can hear one class. Or if you can spare dedicated time every day in sitting and just hearing Prabhupada classes. That's one of the best ways to enhance our understanding and enhance our relationship with Srila Prabhupada. Now, another invaluable resource that is available to all of us is Srila Prabhupada's recitation of Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada recited many chapters of Bhagavad Gita. They are available. If you don't have, please download it. If you don't have, I'll also try to share the link. You can download it from there. But keep them in your mobile. They're occupy very less space, but that transcendental voice that we have, that Srila Prabhupada has, I assure you, if you practice listening to Srila Prabhupada every day, you'll have full satisfaction of soul. Nothing satisfies like, a voice, Vani of a pure devotee. So, and of course, apart from that, there are many reference books that are available. I understand His Grace Gauranga Darshan Prabhu was taking our classes. Prabhu has compiled many wonderful books, Gita Subodhini. So there is book by His Grace Purijan Prabhu, Surrender Unto Me. There are notes by Gaurang Priya Prabhu. There are many wonderful notes by His Holiness Sri Bhagwan Keshav Swami Maharaj on his website, and a lot of valuable resources are there. There are many books by Prabhupada disciple Narayani Mataji, where she has drawn every picture on every verse of Bhagavad Gita. And there are many interesting tools, invaluable resources are available. Now, as a word of precaution, don't be overwhelmed by consulting multiple books at the same time. First and foremost, keep the focus as Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita as it is. Invest full your time in reading Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita as it is. Then go to Prabhupada's lectures or your handbooks, and then go to any other references if you want to go. Now, different methodologies. I want to say something about that as well in terms of understanding Bhagavad Gita. See, there are many ways, there are different routes that we can take. And I've seen, different teachers and different courses adopting one of these methodologies over last decade. When Bhakti śāstrī was started, there were certain aims and objectives of the course. Those aims and objectives were fulfilled using Bhagavad Gita's verses. Now I have predefined, the teacher used to have predefined goals, certain aims and objectives. And then to fulfill those aims and objectives, those chapters were consulted. And if my aim and objective require me to invoke certain verses from chapter 6, sometimes chapter 18, while the chapter 2 is given. They would do that freely. Now, after that, there are certain students and certain teachers who prefer a different way. They want to go in a series from 1 to 700 verses in a particular flow to understand the flow of Bhagavad Gita, right? That's another way of doing. Number third way is we take by section, may not be theme, may not be in a sequence of verses, but theme wise. Let us say if we're discussing about Varnashrama Dharma, then there are certain things that are mentioned in chapter 2, certain things chapter 3, chapter 18, but I approach to certain theme wise. So we can take any route. Usually how I do is I take the second part in terms of explaining the flow of Bhagavad Gita, and in between I consult the different aims and objectives and certain themes I mentioned, that you can draw from here. But like the main is we go verse by verse and you follow that sequence, right? If you want discussion to happen in any other way, just bring that up. We can always switch in different methodologies, but that's the way my intention is to go in that way. Okay, so that was a little orientation from my side. Any questions or comments so far till the time we have discussed? Otherwise, we'll move into verse 38. If you have anything to say or ask, you can please welcome to do that. Okay, so a quick recap of chapter 2 before moving further. Can you please share any points from previous classes that you remember, specifically from chapter 2? And if you want to say from chapter 1, you are also welcome. Just one point, please share one point, what you remember from previous discussions. Yes, Mandaleshwar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhuji was discussing about the soul and body. What is soul and what are the body's restrictions, mind relation and ego? What is 3 things are there regarding that? Prabhuji was discussing.
Okay, yes, thank you. This body and soul. So I'll be asking certain questions based upon your all inputs, okay? Just to have a further discussion. So why Krishna brought up the topic of soul? Why that discussion was there? Yes, Anandita Mataji.
Hare Krishna, because Arjuna was getting overwhelmed with the various reasons. He gave 5 reasons that these people will be killed.
So this a point of soul addresses which argument of Krishna, of Arjuna? Yes, Jayadvaita Prabhu.
So Arjuna was lamenting about killing his own relatives. So this point of soul sort of highlights that you're not killing anyone, because soul has no beginning or the end. It's always persisting. And so Krishna wanted to give Arjuna all different perspectives. So he handpicked the perspective of soul to tell him that you're not killing anybody, and then he moves on to give him a different perspective of nishkama karma, and he just continues on in chapter 2.
So yes, exactly. Arjuna was lamenting, and Krishna's the essence of Krishna's argument in giving the entire knowledge of soul is body is not killed. So don't lament, Arjuna. Go on fighting. Yes, Aradhya Kadadhar Prabhu.
Yeah, so Prabhuji, my life is not there in the Rohini ashram, so this problem. Prabhuji, this is one aspect what Prabhuji told Yadvet Prabhu from the point of view of Arjuna. But there is one aspect that, like we see that conversation between Krishna and Arjun is just like a conversation between a mother and a daughter to teach the daughter-in-law. So from that perspective, Krishna wants to teach us that the beginning of the spiritual knowledge is from the science of soul.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. So beginning of spiritual knowledge is from science of soul. Okay, what other points were, do you remember or you would like to reflect upon?
Prabhuji mentioned the point of tolerance.
Yes.
Tolerance.
Okay. Prabhu. Yeah.
Tolerance is at 3 levels. On the bodily level, then at the mental level, and at egoistic level. The verse 2.14. Yes.
Okay. So, yes, one of the very important thing is, thank you for sharing this point. You know, and everyone, you can write down this one word with you, and that is context. If you understand the context of any point now, you know that point becomes even more relevant and important. You know, see, we'll be discussing a lot of things in Bhagavad Gita. At the same time, it is very important to understand the context. In what context those the conversation is happening. For example, if you hear Arjuna's side, why he doesn't want to fight. Now, if we know about Arjuna's life, what Arjuna have gone through in his life, and after that he's putting these points. Brought up in a family where there was a constant bias against him, his mother, and his brothers. There were several attempts to kill him. There were several attempts to take the rightful property of him. His wife was insulted. His mother was had many assassination attempts. And he's a Kshatriya by nature. He's fully competent to counter all the injustices. And yet, at the time of war, when he's giving a reason, he's being compassionate. He's not being driven just by his emotions at that point. He's considering pros and cons. If you understand the context of Arjuna's life and then you hear his arguments, that point even becomes even more powerful and relishable and inspiring. Now, similarly, just like the tolerance, the point of tolerance was brought up. Now, if you understand in what context, why suddenly the point of tolerance came when Krishna is giving the knowledge of soul. Why do you think that the point of tolerance came? In what context was it spoken by Krishna? Okay, yes, Harshita.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Pranam. Prabhuji said that when Krishna is telling about the soul, that the soul is eternal and the body is is still bound to die. So Arjun might have this thing in mind that, okay, Krishna, I understand that soul is eternal and body is temporary, but my interaction with my relatives is through the body only. So why should I not lament if the body is lost? So for that, as a reply to that, Krishna says, yes, you have to tolerate.
Yeah. So there will always be duality on a bodily platform. What is the solution of that duality? There's nothing else but then to tolerate. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Yes, very quickly, what other points? We'll take 3 more points and then we'll proceed. Quickly. Anything that you remember from last 4 classes, I believe. Please share 1 point.
The size.
Wait. You already have spoken, I think, Javed Prabhu. Anyone who has not spoken so far? Please unmute yourself and share your point. Or I can. Yeah.
Can I share? Prabhuji, one thing which hit me more is the Prabhuji said that the size of the soul is 1/10 of the tip of the hair, but it is not the actual size. It's like just a analogy which has been given to understand, like the soul is so sukshma that we cannot see materially. So that was very amazing for me.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. What else? Yes, Kanchan Garangi Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So basically, Krishna is telling Arjuna, he is aggrieved that if I fight, my relatives will be killed. They are my elders. How can I kill them? So it is, death is a transition, not the termination. So Krishna tells Arjuna different reasons that, okay, even if you kill them, they are pious person, like it is written in the purpose, they are pious person. Either they will go to heavenly planet or they will go to the spiritual world. So there is no loss for them. The new body, it will be better for them. And if you run from the fight, like it is infamy, which is more dangerous than death for a kshatriya. So like there is every loss in not fighting, and on the material platform also there is every profit in fighting and killing. So Krishna gives different reasons, sakam karma basically, but it is not the ultimate.
Yeah, thank you. We'll discuss more about this in today's discussion. Yes. Okay, one more. And let me call out someone. Okay. Priyanka Unial Mataji, would you like to share something? Can you hear us? Priyanka Mataji. Pavan Prabhu. Yeah, Pavan Prabhu. Okay, Uday Balaram Prabhu. Interesting. Okay. Sumitra Mataji, would you like to share any point?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Pranam. Prabhuji, one thing I like the most is there is no difference between body and soul in spiritual world. Like everything is transcendental.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Divyalila, Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Pranam. So Prabhuji was explaining from 2.11 to 30, that is 20 shlokas are based on Jnana Yoga. After that, Krishna was teaching us about Sakama Karma. In that, Prabhuji was mentioning there are two types of dharma, Swadharma and Sadhana Dharma. Swadharma means about normally doing for karma, and Sadhana Dharma means chanting and hearing. And Prabhuji was clearly concluded that this is not our goal of life. This Sakam Karma or these all are not the goal of our life. Goal of our life is Bhakti Yoga. So this is what Prabhuji concluded.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now one more question. Arjuna was in a dilemma. He had to fight. He had all the reasons not to fight. He was unable to decide whether I should fight or I should not fight. What should be the course of my action? Now, how do you think the knowledge that Krishna is imparting about, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Dhyan Yoga, Bhakti Yoga will help Arjun in making a choice? For example, if some devotee comes to you and that devotee is unable to decide something in his life, let us say, He's asking, okay, Prabhu, I don't know whether I should get married or I should join the ashram. Or they are trying to move somewhere. I don't know whether I should move to, London, or I should stay in India. Or you have if you have a big decision to make in life, right? How do you think this knowledge of Karma Yoga, Gyan Yoga, Dhyan Yoga, Bhakti Yoga will help in making that choice? Are you able to understand? Sometimes that connect is missing, we are reading about Karma Yoga and we'll be reading all the technical terms. How does it help Arjuna? How does it addresses Arjuna's basic query, the basic, confusion that he had in Bhagavad Gita? Yes, Mandaleshwar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Krishna has given the choice in the behalf of Arjuna, but he is telling the advantage and disadvantage of both the things of Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. Whereas he has given a choice, what is best, what is your goal? According to you, choose the goal. If you are choosing to get a nice body, you can go to heavenly planet to Karma Yoga also. But if you want to get near me, you can go through Bhakti Yoga. Or if you want my energies, you can go for Jnana Yoga, like that. I understand.
Okay, so Krishna is giving Arjuna choices and based upon his goals. Okay. Yeah. Rukmini Mataji.
I just want to try that from the second chapter, if I come to know that I'm not this body, I'm a spirit soul. So not if I don't have that realization, but at the mental level, intellectually, if I know this, that all my actions, I will try to think about that I'm a soul. So if I know that I'm a soul and the best is to do the Bhakti Yoga, so if I know the higher goal, so all the decision which I have to make in my life, so that will be not, I will able to discriminate material life and spiritual life. And as we know that in the life of a devotee, there is only one light, of spiritual life. So if I have to know this discrimination, which Krishna has already given just in the beginning of the discrimination of soul and body. So if I know the Bhakti Yoga, so all my action, intellectually at least, I would be able to know, and I will try to pursue my life on that basis, and I will be able to make all the decisions.
Okay. Okay. Okay, there's a message by ISKCON Rohini Institute. So I'm just curious to know the name of the devotee behind ISKCON Rohini Institute who is representing ISKCON Rohini. Since I think you'll be making. Okay. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Now I see you. What's your name, Prabhu?
My name is Rishabh.
Okay, Rishabh. And Mataji?
Krisha, Prabhuji.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Okay, Janika Mataji, and then we'll move.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. Prabhuji, without understanding of the proper knowledge of the Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga, Arjuna will not be able to decide that he should have to fight for the protection of the dharma. Like if Arjuna will not have the Gyan of soul and the body, how he will be detached, and through the knowledge and through the Bhakti Yoga, he will be able to decide that he has to fight and conquer all his confusions and doubts, which was related to their relatives. That Arjuna was saying, how can I kill my own relatives? What will I do with the kingdom if I will kill them? He was saying to the Lord that if I'll kill all my relatives, with whom I will live or associate with. So with the help of the knowledge, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Karma Yoga, he will be able to take the decision. Thank you, Prabhuji. I tried. Sorry if I had made any mistake.
No, exactly, Mataji. And that's the absolutely right answer. See, any decision, see, Arjuna has a choice to make. So one can make a better choice in knowledge. rather than in ignorance, right? So Krishna is giving him the complete knowledge, and then Arjuna can take a choice, make a decision from a place of knowledge, knowing all the consequences to and from. That's a basic connection. Okay, so let me try to share the screen with you. Just give me one moment. I need to make admin one more ID. So Prabhu, Krishna Prabhu, if you can, there's one more login by Premanjan Das. If you can give the co-admin rights, I want to share screen from that ID.
Prabhuji, you are already a co-host.
Yeah, so there is one more login by my name. Yeah, thank you. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. So is it visible to everyone, right? Are able to watch, see?
Yes.
So this verse was discussed yesterday? Oh no, we have to start from this verse, or it was already covered?
We should start from this position.
Start from 40, I think.
2.39, Prabhuji. We have to start from 39.
31 to 38 are discussed, right? That section is discussed.
Yes.
Okay, so what is the subject matter of this verse, this section of verses from verse 31 to 38?
Nishkam.
Nishkam karma.
Not exactly. Nishkam karma will that will start in from verses 39 to 41. Okay, basically Krishna is speaking about the dharma of a Kshatriya. So initially he addresses Arjuna's concern of lamentation. Arjuna was lamenting, and therefore through the Sankhya Yoga, specifically giving the knowledge of soul, Krishna addresses Arjuna's concern of material grief, that you need not lament. The soul is eternal, the body is anyway going to die, so please fight. Now from verse 31 onwards to 38, Krishna is speaking about dharma. Now you will find this word dharma, it's a very interesting topic mentioned throughout Bhagavad Gita. See, there are certain, please write down certain words with you. These are important terminologies which are used time and again in Bhagavad Gita. At the same time, we should know the context and the meaning of those words. Write down yoga. Secondly, write dharma. Then write karma. Then write moksha. The three gunas. So in verses 31 to 39, Krishna is speaking about Kshatriya dharma. What is dharma? Dharma means both. It's the virtuous conduct in simple language, or you can say it's a social duty that one ought to perform in relation to one's varna. So what is the varna of Arjuna? He's a Kshatriya. Therefore, Krishna is telling your social duty is to fight and don't run away from it. Interestingly, in chapter 1, Arjuna brought up this point of dharma himself, that, kul dharma. If we kill the family elders, it leads to decline in the family dharma, kul dharma. And therefore, to address that point, Krishna is insisting that Arjuna must fulfill the dharma of his Kshatriya class. Now, this dharma, this term, I mean, we'll have this further discussions also in upcoming section, but this dharma is used in terms of karma yoga as well, that how when Krishna emphasized that dharma or duty should be performed without desire for personal gain. And in chapter 18, Krishna outlines the dharma of each varna, the dharma of a Brahman, dharma of a Kshatriya, of a Vaishya, and of a Shudra. And then there is a link that is made between dharma and bhakti. So now a basic thing to understand about dharma is twofold. It is not just descriptive, it is prescriptive as well. What does it mean? So dharma, it is not just series of tasks that one is ought to perform, but they are the part of one's very nature, right? It reflects the person's swabhav, inner nature. And how does that person get that inner nature? It is generated as a result of past karma. So there's a description that, it is the description of one's own swabhava, as well as it gives prescription that this is your duty, this is your ought to do, right? So in verses 31 to 38, Krishna is specifically speaking about the point of the dharma of a Kshatriya. And which point, of Arjuna, he is addressing by this discussion of Kshatriya dharma. Arjuna gave various reasons. Basically, we classify them into 5 categories, and that, this is why I should not fight. So we read that how about compassion, Krishna is telling through knowledge of soul, Arjun, use your compassion at the right place. There's no cause of material lamentation. Now, similarly, in this section of verses, from verse 31 to 38, which reason of Arjuna Krishna is addressing? That is the question. Can you go through the translation of these verses and try to figure it out? And it is important that all of you have a physical copy of Bhagavad Gita with you. If you are coming to class, you'll be constantly we'll be reading from Bhagavad Gita, you'll be constantly referencing to Bhagavad Gita. Yes, Aradhya Prabhu, Nishkam Karm. Yes, Janika Mataji, the question is, Arjuna gave various reasons why not to fight. We saw in previous verses, Lord Krishna addressed one of those reasons of Arjuna when he speaks about knowledge of soul. Now he's not speaking on a spiritual level, he's speaking about on a bodily level, based upon one's varna. You have got this body is under modes of nature, you have got this specifically varna, and you have this particular duty to perform. Now he's speaking upon in a very general, practical, bodily platform. So, which reason of Arjuna Krishna is addressing through the explanation of Kshatriya dharma? Arjun said that we will incur sins. Okay, Aradhya Gadadhar Prabhu is writing that will benefit will I. What benefit will I gain if I win? Mukund Priya, Mataji Nishkam Karmya. Okay. So if we can recall that Arjuna suggested that by killing the elders of family, the dharma of the family would be destroyed. And as a result of the sinful act, he would go to hell. right? But here, Krishna is explaining it is not by waging war, but if you don't perform your duty of being a Kshatriya, you will incur sin and you will go to hell. It is not by fighting, it is by not fighting. But you are saying your concern is good, but you're saying if you fight, then you'll go to hell. And Krishna is saying it is rather the other way around. If you don't perform your duty of being a Kshatriya, what you're supposed to do, then you will incur sin. So for Arjun, waging war is his dharma. And Krishna is responding to Arjuna's fear of sinful reaction. Okay. And if you see, Bhagavad Gita is a part of Mahabharata. Again, I would like to emphasize this point of context. If you read complete Mahabharata, the main point of discussion is about dharma. What is dharma? What is one supposed to do in a particular situation? You will see time and again such scenarios, such situations come up, where one is supposed to make a choice and one does not know what to do. Right? A Brahmana is there, he makes a vow, he will be truthful, that is his dharma. Some thieves comes to plunder, everyone takes a shelter, they hide themselves. Now these robbers, they approach this Brahman who is truthful and they ask him, please tell us the location of all the villagers. So what is that Brahman supposed to do? Should he be truthful or should he lie? Situations like that. If you shoot an arrow, the army will get killed. Thousands of persons will die. If you don't shoot the arrow, your own mother will die. What choices you make? That discussion of dharma is there throughout the Mahabharata. So if you know the context, in which this conversation is happening, and then when you read in 18th chapter when Krishna is saying Sarva Dharman Parityaja, then you understand the importance of that point. If you know the whole Mahabharata and the kind of discussions that are happening. But yes, in these verses from verse 31 to 38, Krishna is explaining it is your dharmic duty to fight. If you don't fight, that is how you'll incur sin and you'll go to hell. But even if you die while fighting, while performing your duty, you'll have an auspicious future. You will be raised. And there are discussions about how Duryodhan, Shakuni, Dushasan, and even they were not virtuous, but they performed their duty as a Kshatriya and they were elevated in accordance to their dharma. So now, interestingly, if you see verse 37, oh, sorry. So in verse 37, Krishna is saying, O son of Kunti, either you'll be killed on the battlefield and attain the heavenly planet, or you will conquer and enjoy the earthly kingdom. So Krishna is prompting Arjuna to see that you are being benefited by engaging in war. But interestingly, in verse 38, Krishna is taking an absolute U-turn. What is he saying? Don't think of loss or victory. In previous verse, he's telling Arjuna how he'll be benefited. But in verse 38, did you notice? Is it a contradiction or no? He's telling to Arjuna, fight for the sake of fighting without considering happiness or distress, loss or gain, victory or defeat, and by so doing, you shall never incur sin. So now, now that is the point. Why I'm bringing this up point. You'll find in Bhagavad Gita, at certain junction, there are transitions in conversation. Right. For example, from chapter 6, there's a certain conversation that is happening. But as soon as you go to the last verse of chapter 6 and then the first verse of chapter 7 onwards, there's a very starking transition. The entire course of discussion changes. Right. Now, similarly, here is another transition that happened. Earlier, Krishna was speaking from a point of Kshatriya dharma and his fear of sinful reaction. Now, Krishna is preparing the ground to speak that is the main theme of first 6 chapter. First 5 chapter specifically is about Karma Yoga. He's setting the ground. He's introducing that topic in verses, till 41, 38, 39, 40, 41. So let us go to verse 39. Okay. Esha te bihita sankhye buddhir yoge tvaimam shunu buddhaya yukto yaya partha karma bandham prahasyasi. Okay. Priya Parashar Mataji, can you read the translation, please? If you can read the translation of 39, 40, 41.
I have to read only the translation, Prabhuji?
Yeah. This is the translation. 39, 40, 40.
Thus far, I have described this knowledge to you through analytical study. Now listen as I explain it in terms of working without fruitive results. O son of Pratha, when you act in such knowledge, you can free yourself from the bondage of works.
So please recite the verse and then read the translation.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji, please recite the verse and read the translation, 40, 41.
Nehabhi krama naso asti pratyavayo na vidyate swalpam apte asya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. In this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. Text 41. Vyavasatmika buddhi re kehe Kuru Nandan Bahushakha He Anantasya Cha Buddhayo Avaya Vas Ayinam Avyava Sainam. Those who are on this path are resolute in purpose and their aim is one. O beloved child of the Kurus, the intelligence of those who are irresolute is many branched.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Manali. So you see, the common theme in 39, 40, 41. So Krishna is saying, Esha te bihita sankhya. All this, te means to you. Abhihita, I have described. What I have described? Sankhya, in analytical study. So now when Krishna is saying he has given his instruction based upon Sankhya Yoga, he's specifically referring to the knowledge of soul, not the Kshatriya Dharma here, because that is the part of Sankhya. Buddhir yogetva imam shunu. Buddhir means intelligence. Yoge means to work without fruitive result. Imam, this shunu, now here. So now he is waiting, and now he is introducing the next subject matter. He's saying, I've already explained to you on the basis of Sankhya, the teachings of Sankhya, specifically about the knowledge of soul from verses 12 to 30. Now here. Now means now I'm changing the subject matter. Now I'm giving you another perspective. Now, what is that perspective? Buddhaya yukto yaya partha. Now, through intelligence, yukta. Yukta means to engage, to connect, to dovetail. Buddhaya. Yaya, by which? Partha, O Arjun, karma bandham prahasisi. Now you are so afraid of sinful reaction, right? That is why you don't want to fight. Let me share a wonderful knowledge through you, with you, based upon which you will not get any reaction. No sinful reaction. That is your concern, huh? Sinful reaction. So let me speak to you now a way of working in which you will not incur sin. You will not incur the pious result. You will not incur the sinful result. You will be free from the bondage. Right. You will see, I mean, this particular verse is also the connecting verse of the verse in chapter 3. We'll discuss at that point also, but this word is very important. Let us, okay, Harshita Mataji, can you please read the purport?
According to the Nirukti or the Vedic dictionary, the video is covering part of the text. Can you scroll it a little bit down? According to the Nirukti or the Vedic dictionary, Sankhya means that which describes things in detail, and Sankhya refers to that philosophy which describes the real nature of the soul. And yoga involves controlling the senses. Arjuna's proposal not to fight was based on sense gratification. Forgetting his prime duty, he wanted to cease fighting because he thought that by not killing his relatives and kinsmen, he would be happier than by enjoying the kingdom after conquering his cousins and brothers, the sons of Dhritarashtra. In both ways, the basic principles were for sense gratification. Happiness derived from conquering them and happiness derived by seeing kinsmen alive are both on the basis of personal sense gratification, even at a sacrifice of wisdom and duty. Krishna, therefore, wanted to explain to Arjun that by killing the body of his grandfather, he would not be killing the soul proper. And he explained that all individual persons, including the Lord himself, are eternal individuals. They were individuals in the past, they are individuals in the present, and they will continue to remain individuals in the future. Because all of us are individual souls eternally. We simply change our bodily dress in different manners, but actually we keep our individuality even after liberation from the bondage of material dress. An analytical study of the soul and the body has been very graphically explained by Lord Krishna. And this descriptive knowledge of the soul and the body from different angles of vision has been described here as Sankhya in terms of the Nirukti dictionary. This Sankhya has nothing to do with Sankhya philosophy of the atheist couple. Long before the impostor couple Sankhya, the Sankhya philosophy was expounded in the Srimad Bhagavatam by the true Lord couple, the incarnation of Lord Krishna, who explained it to his mother Devahuti. It is clearly explained by him that the Purusha, or the Supreme Lord, is active and that he creates by looking over the Prakriti. This is accepted in the Vedas and in the Gita. The description in the Vedas indicates that the Lord glanced over the Prakriti or nature and impregnated it with atomic individual souls. All these individuals are working in the material world for sense gratification, and under the spell of material energy, they are thinking of being enjoyers. This mentality is dragged to the last point of liberation when the living entity wants to become one with the Lord. This is the last snare of Maya or sense gratificatory illusion, and it is only after many, many births of such sense gratificatory activities that a great soul surrenders unto Vasudev, Lord Krishna, thereby fulfilling the search after the ultimate truth. Arjun has already accepted Krishna as a spiritual master by surrendering himself unto him. Shishyasteham shadhimam tvam prapannam. Consequently, Krishna will now tell him about the working process in Buddhi Yoga or Karma Yoga, or in other words, the practice of devotional service only for the sense gratification of the Lord. This Buddhi Yoga is clearly explained in chapter 10, verse 10, as being direct communion with the Lord, who is sitting as Paramatma in everyone's heart. But such communion does not take place without devotional service. One who is therefore situated in devotional or transcendental loving service to the Lord, or in other words, in Krishna consciousness, attains to this stage of Buddhi Yoga by the special grace of the Lord. The Lord says, therefore, that only to those who are always engaged in devotional service or of transcendental love does he award the pure knowledge of devotion and love. In that way, the devotee can reach him easily in the ever blissful kingdom of God. Thus, the Buddhi Yoga mentioned in book.
We'll stop there. So, yeah, couple of points. First of all, Krishna, the kind of knowledge he's giving, he's about to give to Arjuna now. He's giving a title, that is Buddhi Yoga. If you see the verse, Buddhi Yoga Vimam Shranu. So this Buddhi Yoga. So we have heard about Karma Yoga. We have, in generally lectures, we have heard about Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. So what is this Buddhi Yoga? And why Krishna is naming it as a Buddhi Yoga? So although if you see the further teachings, they refer to Karma Yoga. They are the exactly same teaching. So why Lord Krishna is calling them as Buddhi Yoga? Now, it is the fundamental difference between karma and karma yoga. Now, previously, Krishna explained to Arjuna what is his dharma, what is he supposed to do. That being a Kshatriya, he is supposed to fight. That is karma. Externally speaking, the action may be same, but it is not the action which binds one with karma, with the laws of nature, with the reaction. It is the consciousness by which that action is performed. It is the motive, right? So Duryodhan, he is also fighting externally. Arjuna, he is also fighting externally. So it is not simply the action. So Arjuna is concerned that if I fight, I'll be implicated in sinful reaction. And Krishna is addressing, no, not by action, but it is the motive behind that action that binds one or liberates one. So if you are fighting with a selfless cause, not out of selfish desire, you will not incur sin. So Buddhi Yoga. See, what is the function of Buddhi? So one of the function of Buddhi is to make connections. Another function of Buddhi is to discriminate. So and the function of intelligence, they connect, they group certain things each other, or they discriminate. Now you will find there are two types of philosophers. One who believes we should supposed to act in this world, we should engage, and we are supposed to do our duty. Another category of people who tries to cultivate knowledge, and their inclination is towards detachment. So just like Vedic scriptures, a certain portion is about karma kant. You are supposed to do this and this and this, And that certain portion is about the Jnanakand, that based upon Upanishad, they try to cultivate knowledge and they try to renounce activities in this world, right? But Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavad Gita is accepted by various classes of transcendentalists because it connects the both positions in a very wonderful way, to act on the basis of knowledge. Sometimes people think these are the people who are just karmis and hardworking people. They just work hard and their all work is in vain. And this category of people see the other category, that these kind of people who have renounced work and they are engaged in cultivating knowledge, they are not contributing in any way to the society. They are the useless, they are completely useless and are like a parasite to the society. That kind of, although I'm taking it to a little extreme just to make a stark difference, the kind of, but Bhagavad Gita connects the both of them and says how both of things are important. It is important to act, but it is important to act on the basis of knowledge. So that's why Buddhi Yoga. So Buddhi, at least at the level of Buddhi, one has to be purified of the selfish desire. One does not try to enjoy the result of one's own action. Right. So now, now Krishna is explaining that this is that kind of teachings that is about to give. Specifically, they're called Buddhi Yoga, and this Buddhi Yoga is synonymous with Nishkam Karma Yoga. Now, in the next verse, saying, in this endeavor, which endeavor? That Krishna is about to explain. To work without, just like in the previous verse, he speaks. When you act in such knowledge, you can free yourself from the bondage of work. So this endeavor in Buddhi Yoga, when you act on the basis of knowledge, in this endeavor, what is the speciality of this endeavor? There is no loss or diminution. And a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. So Krishna is explaining there is no failure in the spiritual endeavor. There are only degrees of success. So no spiritual achievement is ever wasted or lost. We'll have further discussion on this point in chapter 6 when Arjuna specifically asks this question. But here Krishna is making it clear there is absolutely no failure in any spiritual endeavor. So any spiritual endeavor, any advancement that is taken, it is never wasted, it is never lost. And furthermore, swa alpam, a little advancement, alpa. What kind of alpa? Swa alpa, a very little. Trayate mahato bhayat. That kind of action which is performed in Buddhi Yoga, even a very little advancement in that path can trayate, can deliver mahato bhayat. Mahato, the greatest of fear. And of course, Srila Prabhupada translates Buddhi Yoga, this to work selflessly or for the pleasure of Krishna in terms of Bhakti Yoga. Okay. Okay, Benita Mataji, can you please read the purport?
Activity in Krishna consciousness or acting for the benefit of Krishna without expectation of sense gratification is the highest transcendental quality of work. Even a small beginning of such activity finds no impediment, nor can that small beginning be lost at any stage. Any work begun on the material plane has to be completed, otherwise the whole attempt becomes a failure. But any work begun in Krishna consciousness has a permanent effect, even though not finished. The performer of such work is therefore not at a loss, even if his work in Krishna consciousness is incomplete. 1% done in Krishna consciousness bears permanent result, so that the next beginning is from the point of 2%, whereas in material activity without 100% success there is no profit. Ajamila performed his duty in some percentage of Krishna consciousness, but the result he enjoyed at the end was 100%. By the grace of Lord, there is a nice verse in this connection in Srimad Bhagavatam. Tyaktavasava dharmam charanamam bhujam harer bhajanam apak apakvo akapvo da tha pate tato yadi yatra kava vandavtaram abhut amushya kim ko varta apto vajatam sava dharmata. If someone gives up his occupational duties and works in Krishna consciousness and then falls down on the account of not completing his work, what loss is there on his part? And what can one gain if one performs his material activities perfectly? Or as the Christian says, what profit a man if he gains the whole world yet suffered the loss of his eternal soul? Material activities and their result end with the body, but work in the Krishna consciousness carries a person gain to Krishna consciousness. Even after the loss of the body, at least one is sure to have a chance in the next life of being born again in a human being, either in the family of great cultured Brahmana or in a rich aristocratic family that will give one a further chance for elevation. That is the unique quality of the work done in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you, Vinita Madhuri. So, Krishna is glorifying, and Srila Prabhupada further elaborating the glories of work done in that consciousness, especially work done in Krishna consciousness. Any endeavor, any progress that is made in Krishna consciousness is a permanent result. It's all auspicious, it fosters all auspicious results. And the examples that Srila Prabhupada quotes is from Srimad Bhagavatam of Ajamil. Can you think of any other examples from Shastra which illustrates this point? From Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Ramayana, any example that you can think apart from Ajamil? You can type in the chat section, which illustrates this point that any advancement made in Krishna consciousness is never lost. Gajendra, thank you. Wonderful example.
Narad Muni.
Narad Muni, yes, thank you. Dhruv Maharaj.
Jad Bharat.
Jad Bharat, yes, wonderful. What other examples are there? Vritasur. Prahlad's. Even the so-called curses that are given in Srimad Bhagavatam by saintly persons, how they are all auspicious and they foster a result. Even the result of having a darshan of Narad Muni was never lost for Nal Kuber and Manigriv, although they were in such fallen condition. And yet they received the ultimate result of having the darshan of Krishna. And Jai Vijay, yeah. So any endeavor, and of course, if we try to give examples from recent history, even in Srila Prabhupada's disciples, there are so many wonderful stories how disciples who joined early with Srila Prabhupada assisted him in his preaching activities, but due to some or other reason, they went away from association of devotees. How they again came back to Krishna consciousness in their last stages of life and left body in in the association of devotees. One example from our own temple that I can recall at this junction is of His Holiness Survi Swami Maharaj, who was the architect of Vrindavan Temple, Mumbai Temple, many important projects in ISKCON. And when Srila Prabhupada was there, he assisted Prabhupada in so many of his wonderful main projects in India. But in between, he went away from association of devotees. And interestingly, when ISKCON Vrindavan was celebrating the 40th anniversary of ISKCON, just 1-2 years earlier, he returned to association of devotees. He even came to Punjabi Bagh. This ISKCON Punjabi Bagh, this entire temple was started by Surbi Swami Maharaj. It was initially his architectural office. He was based in Vrindavan. So he needed a peaceful place to work upon all his projects and drawings, and someone donated him this place, the earlier place. So he made that office, and that is how Radhika Raman came. And he came to take darshans of Radhika Raman. And then from here, he went to ISKCON Vrindavan, celebrated the ISKCON 40th anniversary. And just within few months, I suddenly left his body in Vrindavan Dham, in association of devotees. There are example of, I think, Sudama Vipra Swami Maharaj. Prabhupada asked many of his disciples who would like to go to Japan to start preaching. And Prabhupada said, I will personally take him back to Godhead. And he was the one who raised his hand and he said, I'll go, Prabhupada. He went, he started a center there, he did a lot of preaching, but ultimately he left association of devotees, went away from the process of Krishna consciousness. And at his last stage of his life, he suddenly woke up. He was totally unconscious, just moments before leaving his body, suddenly woke up. Oh, Prabhupada, you have come, and left his body. And later on, I think his wife narrated the story to the devotees. So they are very much hope-giving. Stories are there. There was one devotee in Boston who was into Krishna consciousness, but somehow again he left association of devotees. And a couple of years back, I think His Holiness Devamrit Swami Maharaj or His Holiness Hanumat Parishad Swami Maharaj, I'm not able to recall who went. I mean, they suddenly, like some of his elder god brothers, they asked, where is that devotee? We don't have any connection with him. We lost all his contacts. So they worked hard in tracing that devotee. And they finally located him. He was staying at a old age home in Boston. So they went to meet that person, devotee. And as soon as he entered, the receptionist saw them, and these devotees greeted the receptionist by saying Hare Krishna. And the receptionist very amused. Oh, you are the Hare Krishnas. And then they said, we want to meet this person. Then she asked, are you family? He said, no, we are from the same spiritual tradition. We are the disciples of same spiritual master. And then the receptionist told the story of that person. He had Parkinson's disease. He had lost all ability to remember anything. And even for brushing his teeth, even for very basic bodily function, he needed assistance. He said, but there is one thing that makes this devotee happy. So every evening, this devotee assembles everyone in the old age home and asks everyone to chant Hare Krishna Mahamad, the same Hare Krishna greeting that you did with. And that is the only thing that brings smile to this person. So even in that old age, under Parkinson's disease, when he has forgotten all the other things of his life, he still remembered Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and he was engaging in Sankirtan and engaging others in Sankirtan. So I'm saying, I mean, there are so many can be said about this verse. There are so many wonderful stories about devotees, but this is so assuring and so faith-giving. Once you take shelter of Krishna consciousness, that protection is always given. But at the same time, one should not be careless after reading that verse. One should not take that protection for granted. Oh, I can do anything and nothing will happen to me. That is not how the things happen. One needs to be very careful and not take that for granted. At the same time, one should take assurance in the protection of Krishna. That Krishna never let go of his devotees. He always protects. Okay, so next verse is again a very interesting verse which Srila Prabhupada quotes at many places, even in terms of describing his a major transition that he had after reading this verse in his own life. Vyavasayatmika buddhir ekha kurunandana bahushakha hi anantascha buddhayo vyavasayinam. Those who are on this path, which paths that Krishna is describing in previous verses, are resolute in purpose, and their aim is one. A beloved child of the Kurus, the intelligence of those who are irresolute is many branched. Bahushakha, many branch. Hyanantascha, buddhayo vyavasayinam. Okay. Pitambar Gaurang Prabhu, can you read the purport? Just the first two paragraphs. Pitambar Gaurang Prabhu. Okay. Govind Madhav Prabhu.
A strong faith that by Krishna consciousness one will be elevated to the highest perfection of life is called Vyavasayatmika intelligence. The Chaitanya Charitamrita 22.62 states, Siddha Sabde Viswas Kahe Sudhir Nishya Krishna Bhakti Kaile Sarva Karam Kritta Hai. Faith means unflinching trust in something sublime. When one is engaged in the duties of Krishna consciousness, he need not act in relationship to the material world with obligations to family, traditions, humanity, or nationality. Fruitive activities are the engagements of one's reactions from past good or bad deeds. When one is awake in Krishna consciousness, he need no longer endeavor for good results in his activities. When one is situated in Krishna consciousness, all activities are on the absolute plane, for they are no longer subject to dualities like good or bad. The highest perfection of Krishna consciousness is renunciation of the material conception of life. This state is automatically achieved by progressive Krishna consciousness. The resolute purpose of a person in Krishna consciousness is based on knowledge. Vasudev Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabha. A person in Krishna consciousness is the rare good soul who knows perfectly that Vasudeva Krishna is the root of all manifested causes. As by watering the root of a tree, one automatically distributes water to the leaves and branches. So by acting in Krishna consciousness, one can render the highest service to everyone, namely self, family, society, country, humanity, etc. If Krishna is satisfied by one's actions, then everyone will be satisfied. Service in Krishna consciousness is, however, best practiced under the able guidance of a spiritual master who is a bona fide representative of Krishna. And one should accept the instruction of the bona fide spiritual master as one's mission in life. Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur instructs us in his famous prayer for the spiritual master as follows. Yas prasadat bhagvat prasado yas prasada nagati kutopi. Dhayan stuvantas yasastri sandram Vande Sri Guru Charanarvindam. By satisfaction of the spiritual master, the Supreme Personality of Godhead becomes satisfied, and by not satisfying the spiritual master, there is no chance of being promoted to the plane of Krishna consciousness. I should therefore meditate and pray for his mercy 3 times a day and offer my respectful obeisances unto him, my spiritual master. The whole process, however, depends on the perfect knowledge of the soul beyond the conception of the body, not theoretically but practically. When there is no longer a chance for sense gratification manifested in fruitive activities, one who is not firmly fixed in mind is diverted by various types of fruitive acts. Surrender unto me.
Okay. Now, how can you make a connection between the verse translation and the purport? What is the verse saying, and what is the Srila Prabhupada is elaborating upon? Why suddenly Prabhupada is speaking about Shraddha and is defining faith? Can you make that connection?
Hare Krishna. Prabhupada is explaining how one can have the Vyavasatmaka Buddhi.
Okay.
Strong faith he is selling means Shraddha.
In 2.40, Krishna says that a little endeavor will protect you. So someone, Arjuna may have doubt that how this can be possible. So that's why the point of faith is coming up.
Okay, interesting. So whenever we read the verse, try to make its translation, and usually Prabhupada elaborate upon certain phrases of the verse or a certain section of that translation. So just try to always figure it out, what exactly Prabhupada is elaborating upon in this verse. So specifically in this verse, why Srila Prabhupada is defining about faith and, defining in those terms, especially from Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. Let me share that. Can you see my screen right now? So this is the commentary by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur on this verse. Verse 41. Let me increase the font size. Is it readable to everyone? Okay. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is writing, moreover, among all type of intelligence, that intelligence concentrated on Bhakti Yoga is the best. Resolute intelligence fixed in Bhakti Yoga is only one. The meaning of this is illustrated as follows. My sadhana is to serve the lotus feet of the Lord, to remember and glorify him as instructed by my Guru. That is also my goal, sadhya. It is my life-sustaining medicine, for I cannot give up the sadhana and the sadhya. This is my most desirable object, my duty, and nothing else is my duty. Nothing else is desired, even in dreams. There may be happiness or sorrow. Sansar may be destroyed or may not be destroyed. That is no loss for me. Let there only be resolute intelligence fixed in pure bhakti. So he's taking this verse and defining it only in terms of Ananya Bhakti. That means one absolute resolution in serving the lotus feet of spiritual master, working for the pleasure of Krishna. And then he goes on further in terms of explaining what is that many branch intelligence. The intelligence of others, however, is not eka. Those intellects have many branches, and those intellects are unlimited rather than one. because of the unlimited desires to fulfill in Karma Yoga. For instance, in Jnana Yoga, in order to purify the mind, one must fix the intelligence on Nishkam Karma. When the mind is purified, the intelligence then concentrate on giving up action, Karma Sannyas. Next, the intelligence concentrate on Jnana, knowledge. But the intelligence at that time must also concentrate on Bhakti, so that Jnana does not become devoid of result. As we have heard and read that even for the Jnana and for Karma to be a result, there has to be the presence of Bhakti. The intelligence then concentrates on giving up Jnana, as the Lord says, Jnanam cha mai sannyasya. One should surrender such knowledge in order to attain. Thus, the intelligence or minds concentrating on different objects are said to be infinite or many, and the type of differing sadhanas are also many, since Karma, Jnana, and Bhakti must also be performed, right? So now for the next verses, 42 to 46. Let us quickly cover those verses also. Just a translation. I want to discuss one specific thing in that. So now in the verse 40 to 43, interestingly, now Krishna is speaking about Vedic literature and especially the Vedic rituals. Men of small knowledge are very much attached to the flowery words of the Vedas, which recommend various fruitive activities for elevation to heavenly planet, resultant good birth, power, and so forth. Being desirous of sense gratification and opulent life, they say that there is nothing more than this. Right? Yam imam pushpitam vacham pravadanti avipashchitaha vedvadrata partha nanyad astiti vadina. Vedvadrata partha. Vedvad rata. What does it mean? That's an important term. If you read the supposed followers of Vedas, men of small knowledge are much attached to the flowery words of the Vedas. And even in the next verse, Krishna is saying, Bhogeshwarya prasaktanam taya pratichetasam vyavasayatmika buddhi samadhauna vidhiyate. In the minds of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence and who are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination for devotional service to the Supreme Lord does not take place. Now, my question to all of you is, why suddenly Krishna is bringing up this topic where he's seemingly criticizing the flowery language of the Vedas? You know, in the previous verses we discussed, Krishna spoke about the Kshatriya Dharma. Then Krishna started speaking about giving another transition, you know, from another perspective. He made a ground for giving the knowledge of Nishkam Karma Yoga, which he gives the title as Buddhi Yoga. And now in that, Krishna is seemingly criticizing Vedic rituals here. So what is happening? So why Krishna spoke this verse? Can you make the connection with the previous verses? Yes, please.
This verse is saying talking about fruitative activity based on the Vedas. So it's a kind of Sakam Karma Yoga where the person who's acting, who's doing the karma, has more focus on the result. But in previous verse, Krishna is focusing on Buddhi Yoga or the Nishkam Karma. So from here, that's why he's criticizing.
Yes, absolutely right, Mataji. Yeah. Thank you. So yes, so we should understand Krishna is not anti-Vedic. He's not criticizing the Vedic ritual. What he's criticizing the motive behind executing those Vedic rituals. He's criticizing the selfish mentality. That mentality to enjoy everything by your own self. Necessity to be very selfish, that's okay, that's still acceptable. But these kind of followers, they go one step further in announcing that there is nothing more to Vedas, that the ultimate purpose of Vedas is just this, to announce, to perform the rituals in order to get result, their own personal sense gratification. And that is why the verse in Nan, nothing more than they go announcing that as well. So, so Krishna is basically critical of the materially motivated rituals. And the persons who are claiming that there is, can you hear me? Somehow the screen seems to freeze in front of me. Am I able?
I think we lost last 2-3 minutes. Okay.
2-3 minutes. So Hare Krishna, can you hear me now?
Yes, Prabhuji, just Mataji, we lost you after the Mataji's answer.
So basically, we want to understand Krishna is not anti-Vedic. He is criticizing not the Vedic rituals, but the selfish mentality, the materially motivated mentality to execute those Vedic rituals. Not only that, those kinds of person, when they go one step further in announcing that there's nothing more to religious life than this. Am I audible now? Are you able to understand?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, okay. So yes, and why Krishna is introducing this subject matter at this particular point in the conversation? Because he's about to explain Karma Yoga, right? So once again, he's emphasizing the difference between karma and Karma Yoga. That it is the mentality, it is the motive, it is not just the external action. So Karma Yoga may externally appear to be identical to karma in terms of the action performed. You know, the karma, just like the different rituals that are mentioned in Veda. Yet the key difference, what is the key difference? It is in the buddhi or the intelligence or the purpose or the basis of that action. Right. So now in next, from verse 47 to 53, Lord Krishna will give an outline of Karma Yoga. And we'll have a little bit more discussion about that last verse that we read, Bhogeshwarya Prasaktanam, tomorrow, or whenever the next class is, the Monday. Okay. So we'll stop here. Thank you very much. It's already 9:30, so the class is officially ended. If you want to go, please go. If you have any questions, if you want to stay back, if you want to have any discussion, you can have that discussion. And I will share you the link of a document if you have to write any questions in that, and we can take that up in the next session. Right. Okay. Thank you. Yes, Kanchan Van Gaurangi Mataji. Anyone wishes to leave, please feel comfortable to leave. The class is ended. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Yes, Kanchan Van Gaurangi Mataji, please.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Like, in this it is said, if a person does pious activities, or like there is no loss or diminution in spiritual activity. So a person, it is often always written that a person will get either birth in a Brahminical family or rich aristocratic birth. But at the same time, it is written in scriptures that Janma Ishwarya Shrita Shrive. So how is it? Yeah.
So yes, that is why the distinction is there. If you have made little advancement, you'll still have, an opulent life. So it is not always an obstruction. There are certain advantages also, that you don't have to worry about your from where you'll get the food, your source of maintenance. So in that, you have a comfortable life. And the advantage of that comfortable life, you can invest your time, energy, and consciousness for the higher purpose in life. But I imagine someone who is always struggling just to get his means together. It's very difficult for such a person, right? If a person is doing job from 12 hours, 14 hours, 16 hours, you tell them, please come to temple, please come for this festival. Oh, I'm very busy. And if a person is earning in such a way that if they don't work for that day, they won't get anything to eat that day. Imagine kind of life. It is very difficult for such a person. It is certainly challenging. So that is advantage. If a person is materially well taken care of, they may have an opportunity to render devotional service peacefully. And of course, that is for the less advanced. Now, if someone was made more advancement, for them, there's a special gift. They take birth in the association of in a devotee family, which is such a birth is very, very rare in this world, right? So imagine, let us say, even in ashram we see, even if someone was dedicated full time, if there is no other male member, if they have to marry their sister, or if they have to take care of their parents, and there's no one in the family to take care, so certain the mind of that person is suddenly disturbed, right? At least they have to worry so much about how to get how that will manifest in practical life. If we have a person in our family member and they are undergoing serious health challenges, we don't have money to take care of their health. Certainly our consciousness is so much consumed by those scenarios, and it is very challenging to, ab usko bolo ki ab please sit down and chant attentively. So it is certainly challenging, is it not? Yet at the same time, those challenges can turn into an opportunities by right attitude. From a certain perspective, there is no hindrance to spiritual life. It is ahatu ki apratihata. Yet at the same time, there are certain material situations and which can push us, which can facilitate us in our service to Krishna, in our remembrance to Krishna. Okay. Is it all right, Madhuri? I can't hear you.
Am I audible?
Oh, you're audible. Yeah.
My another point is, action doesn't bind the person, it is the consciousness that binds or liberates a person. You mentioned this point. So can't it be, so this can be an excuse for persons for doing wrongdoing, like for doing something wrong. That my consciousness or correct. Take an example like the or anyone.
Say again, Madhuri, sorry, I couldn't get you.
Action doesn't bind a person, it is the consciousness that binds or liberates a person. So
Yes.
can't it be an excuse for persons for doing certain wrong things, that okay, my consciousness was not wrong, but my action was wrong? So
Yes, definitely. And that is why there must have been discussion about killing. Here Krishna is telling Arjuna to kill, to engage in war. And yet that killing liberates Arjuna. On the other hand, one can misuse that knowledge. The soul is eternal. So is it a license to kill? So you can misuse anything in life. That's the bottom line. No doubt about that. You are absolutely right in those terms. At the second level, we will have further discussion in upcoming chapters when there are different kind of karmas which are mentioned in Vedas. Some are the karma which are in line with Vedic Shastra, that brings prosperity, and there are certain things which are prohibited in the Shastra, vikarma, and then there is akarma. So it is not that one can be whimsical. It is that the basis is not one's own imagination. It is the standards are set by Shastras. Okay. So yes, Harshita Mataji, I think, yeah, that's, I will stop 15 minutes, 20 minutes before 9:30 and we'll take certain questions in the class also. So we'll take care of that. Yeah, that's a nice suggestion. We can do that. Yes, Rishabh Mitra Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Bhaji, thank you very much for your class. My question is, in verse 39, Krishna is talking about Sankhya Yoga and Buddhi Yoga. And in the next verse 40, we talk about activities in Bhakti Yoga. So is the Buddhi Yoga and Bhakti Yoga same, or is there a difference?
So in verse 39, we are not speaking about Sankhya Yoga. Krishna is just mentioning that so far I explained to you on the basis of Sankhya. Right? So Sankhya is basically referring to the knowledge of soul. How the soul is separate from the body, from the material elements. That's Sankhya. Now, the knowledge that I'm about to give is Buddhi Yoga. Right? Now, Buddhi Yoga is synonymous to Nishkam Karma Yoga. That is what we'll cover in tomorrow's verses. So Krishna is explaining, setting the pretext of that. Now that Nishkam Karma Yoga is also Bhakti Yoga. When the actions are performed for the satisfaction of Krishna.
Okay.
So that is why I said, especially one of the word is about yoga. You'll see the title of each word of the chapter is, the yoga is coming. So, Buddhi Yoga, in certain context, it means Nishkam Karma Yoga. In certain context, it means Bhakti Yoga. Srila Prabhupada specifically translates Buddhi Yoga as Krishna consciousness, that is Bhakti Yoga. To work for the satisfaction of Krishna, not to enjoy results for one's own self.
Okay, Bhaji. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. So yes, they are interchangeable words. They are synonyms, and sometimes and why the term Buddhi? Specifically for to distinguish that between karma and karma yoga. It's the intention, the intelligence, the purpose, the buddhi behind it has to be. And the second reason that we covered is buddhi is also meant to connect. So buddhi yoga, when a person is not just working without knowledge and is not just karma sannyas and knowledge, when the both are combined together, when a person works but he works in the knowledge, that is also buddhi. Okay. So the two kinds paradigms are connected in this buddhi yoga. Yes, Mukund Priya Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhuji, that verse is very known, that Sayatmika Buddhi. So we know the theoretical way of understanding it. So maybe it's easy to follow in Brahmachari ashram or other ashrams. So can you please elaborate on Vyavasayatmika Buddhi kaisi hoti hai in practical life, or for examples which just like you gave the stories for few devotees, which I can understand or correlate, like actually what is the goal. Sometimes like working in a grahastha ashram, it's not my consciousness is not like that work is for Krishna, like office gayi ya fir jaise bhi hai. So at that time the consciousness is not like I'm working for Krishna, or it's related to Krishna, or outcome is given to Krishna. I was into that work. So how to understand?
So yes, first of all, first misconception, Brahmachari ashram, don't think it's easy in Brahmachari ashram. We all have a very wonderful associate of us, which is our mind and our false ego, whether you stay in this ashram or that ashram. So yes, Narottam Das Thakur writes, Guru Mukha Padma Vakya, Chittate Kariya Ekya, Arana Kariha Mana Asha. So you see, Srila Prabhupada integrated these verses, these prayers the first thing in the morning, when the darshan of the Lord's open, we are supposed to glorify Krishna, but Srila Prabhupada gave Mangal Arati as glorification of Guru. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur 8 verses. Yasya Prasada Bhagavad Prasada. Then again, after Darshan Arti, the first thing is Guru Puja by Narottam Das Thakur, again glorifying Guru. So, how is it possible? It is possible when we have a relationship with Guru. If we don't have an active living relationship with Guru, then how is it possible? For example, we have a relationship with the child. If we are in love with the child, anything that we do, in the offices that we are doing, the earning that we are doing, the savings that we are doing for the pleasure of our child, beloved child, our son or daughter, because there is love, there is relationship, right? So it is not a theoretical concept. It is theoretical when we don't have a connection, living connection or a living relationship with Guru. So now the question is how to develop that love towards Guru. So just today morning, someone shared a reel with me in which His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj was sharing, was answering a similar question. And Maharaj was saying how to develop interest in chanting. It is by chanting. How to develop interest in reading Shastras. It is by reading Shastras. And similarly, how to develop interest, cultivate a service attitude by actually serving. So how to develop a love or a relationship with Guru? By actually serving them. First of all, by going out, by the basis of connection is Shravana, is the instruction, hearing, the Vani, right? So Vapu Seva is also important, yet the crux of our relationship is Vani Seva, right? Srila Prabhupada met Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur how many times in his life? Only a few times, but he was so dedicated. So he said, I never felt alone. I always felt my Guru Maharaj is with me. He dedicated his entire life fulfilling his desire. Why? There was a relationship there with the Vani, right? So the inspiration that we can take is from our own founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada and his relationship with his spiritual master Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. What all Srila Prabhupada did, what all risk he did, and how he dedicated everything to please his spiritual master. Then there are so many glorious disciples of Srila Prabhupada. We can have a look at their lives. His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj, His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, His Holiness Radha Govind Swami Maharaj. There's so many, His Holiness Loknath Swami Maharaj, so many wonderful, disciples of Srila Prabhupada. Yadubar Prabhu, Vishakha Mataji. There's, hundreds of disciples are there, dozens. You may know some of them. To when we hear about their lives, when we see their lives, it inspires us. So by serving, by taking association of these personalities, that kindle a spark in terms of dedicating our life and words, or we say our focus in serving them. So living relationship by having association of persons who are dedicated to their own spiritual masters. And third and foremost is the process of sadhana bhakti. So the morning program that Srila Prabhupada gave, Mangal Arati, deity worship, chanting our japa, reading shastras. When we undertake this commitment, our sadhana seriously, that is how gradually that relationship is cultivated over a period of time. It is not a one-day process. And at the same time, these are certain do's, and then there are certain don'ts. It is our responsibility to protect our faith. So to avoid associations which unnecessarily criticize Vaishnavas, which unnecessarily tries to, have scandalous conversation or unnecessary Vaishnav Ninda, to protect ourselves from that kind of association. That is one. So yeah, these are there, and it is, I understand it is not easy, it is not simple. It is the most rarest of gift that we can have in our life. So we should go out in front of Krishna, and we beg him for so many things in our life. So we can actually make a prayer. Please send me devotees in my life with whom I can submit myself, who can take me closer to you, and I may develop that consciousness of serving the Vaishnavis in my life. These are few of my thoughts, Mati. There's no other magic formula. It is about cultivating and nurturing our relationship. How to develop that relationship? It is by service. How to serve? Find out your way and means how you can contribute something in this vast movement of Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yet it is very important. Start with cultivating your relationship with Srila Prabhupada. So there are many sources of shelter: Shiksha Guru, Diksha Guru, Srila Prabhupada. So all three are required. So whatever you feel most connected with, nurture that. If you feel more nurtured and nourished by your relationship connection with Diksha Guru, have focus more that on. If you feel more nourished by Srila Prabhupada's Vani, integrate that in your life, or by Shiksha Guru, you do that. All three are required all the time, yet one of them can take prominence in our life. So do that. Yeah. Okay. Okay, Priyanka, Uniyal Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I have a question that I could not understand the text 41, like when you were explaining why Prabhupada defining faith, like it was a commentary of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary on that.
So Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, how that one-pointed, single-pointed intelligence is possible. That is possible when I focus on just serving my Guru and Krishna. Right. But how can I can do that if I don't have faith that simply by this activity everything else will be achieved? Just by service to my Guru, all siddhi will come in my life. How can I do that if I don't have that faith? That's why he's defining faith as simply by Krishna consciousness, simply by service to Guru, everything will be achieved. Shraddha Shabd Vishwas Kaile, Sudrida Nishtay, this determination, this conviction, that is faith.
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you so much. Now I understood.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anyone else?
Hare Krishna, can I ask?
Yes,
yes.
Yes, please.
Prabhuji, some devotee asked a question about like one who is like you were explaining the difference and the benefits and advantages and disadvantages of one who is born in an opulent family and one who is not. You were explaining like one who is in wealthy family, he or she need not worry for the basic needs. They can better concentrate on Krishna consciousness. And other devotees who are really worrying for some difficulties in the family, they are disturbed. They may be disturbed. But the main thing is that our laulyam or our determination. In relation to that, recently I was thinking for two examples in our group. And both the Matajis are very sincere. But somehow or other, they have to work, that's the need. And which you can understand by if a woman is working and practicing Krishna consciousness and others are not supporting, then they are always standing on their toes. Like they're struggling to practice Krishna consciousness. Somehow or other, they finish their rounds, they attend a few artis. And I see so many struggles. I was thinking these days, what does Krishna wants? If a person is serious, but still they have to struggle, they have to struggle in Krishna consciousness in that sense that they cannot take out that much time which they could have given if the need was not there.
Yeah, so that's it. That is a perfect start to tomorrow's discussion. Arjuna was in the same dilemma whether I should give up my work. There's so much trouble. Why take all the trouble? Better leave everything, go to forest. Or whether I should actually take the trouble to fight. Krishna is not telling, okay, you sit and chant my names. But he's telling, you fight at the same time, anusmaran. You remember, and at the same time you fight. Right? So this is not Arjuna will ask this question 3-4 times in Bhagavad Gita, not just once. In the beginning of chapter 3, he asks, you are telling me to, what is better? Should I give up or should I fight? And again, he asks in the chapter 5, please tell me one, why you're telling me both things? You tell me one, what is. So this question is always there, whether how much I should work, what should I work? So we'll have further discussion on this in upcoming section, and at the same time this discussion will again happen in the unit Nectar of Instruction of Deshamrit. How does Srila Prabhupada defines prayasascha, the 6 things which destroys one devotional service and 6 things which nurtures. So one of them is atyahar prayasascha, which destroys. So how to identify what is prayas and what is not prayas.
Actually, Prabhuji, in the very short experience in my Krishna consciousness, I see the devotees who have, I'm not getting judgmental in the sense, but what I see that one who has struggles, not in the form of to perform Krishna consciousness, but rather they have other responsibilities and obligations, restrictions in the sense they are getting more sincere because they know that this is the only thing and I have to do by hook and crook. They put their more efforts in compared to those who have so many facilities and they can practice Krishna consciousness in more better way with more time and attention than the first category. But they are not getting so serious.
That is why the concept of tapasya is there in spiritual life. So the more you undergo tapasya, one is comfortable life. Tapasya, that is why tapasya means voluntarily taking inconvenience in life. Right? Every day you can wake up easily at 4 o'clock. Okay, now you are habituated. Automatically your sleep. But for someone, okay, what next? Don't be stagnant about this. What more can you do in spiritual life? For someone who's waking up at 7 o'clock, okay, how can I go from here to next level? If I'm chanting, okay, I'm chanting 16 rounds every day, 4 regulative principles I'm doing. Okay, what more can I do in my spiritual life? So, tapasya means voluntarily going out of your comfort zone, right? So that is tapasya. That's why in chapter 17, Lord Krishna will explain the austerities of body, austerities of speech, and austerities of mind, right? So one should. So yeah, you are absolutely right. Usually that's the case when a person is complacent, relaxed. That's one side, but then there's another side. If a person is too overwhelmed, sometimes that is also a distraction as well. So ideal is balance. Yukta vihar. Yukta ahar viharascha. The 6th chapter, Lord Krishna says how one should be regulated. Regulation is the right. We have a tendency to go in extremes in every area. But Lord Krishna emphasized be regulated in your eating, in your sleep, in your work, in your recreation. And that is how you perform yoga. Srila Prabhupada's life, you see how much regulative. All acharyas, you see their lives, so much regulative. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, you see. Srila Bhakti Saraswati Thakur, you see. Even present day acharyas. So, yeah. Regulation is important. And regulation means different for different persons. It is not the same standard for everyone. It's a very individual thing. Okay. So, we'll stop here. Thank you. We'll meet on Monday now. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai.